the Feminine Byte, hosted by yours truly, Erin, and my co-host, Emily.
Hi.
And today, for our first episode, or episodic series, we're covering the enigma, the mystery, the strangeness that is Don't Worry, Darling.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Directed by Olivia Wilde, with screenplay written by Katie Silberman, and I know that a lot of people blame Olivia for most of this, but I want it to be acknowledged that there was a screenwriter here, and she should also be put on the cross.
She should. She should be. So, this is gonna end up being a full series, a mini series, if you will.
3 to 4 parts, because we got a lot to say.
I basically last year made Don't Worry Darling my entire personality trait. I was very entrenched in the drama. I watched the movie and then that was my main personality trait up until this point. So this first episode we're just
wait, up until this point, it's still your...
It still is. Let's be real.
Your sister saw it, went on Netflix, and she immediately yelled at you.
I have definitely in the year that this movie has come out, I have watched this movie exactly 11 times, which is far too many to watch for any movie, but especially far too many to watch for such a bad movie. I love Don't Worry Darling. I acknowledge that it is a bad movie. And we're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
This first episode though, I wanted to go over just like the drama that happened before this, because this was all happening before we even knew what the movie was.
Yeah. So something I want to bring up is that I feel like this movie has the potential to be a cult classic, because part of what a cult classic is, when I was looking it up, is that like it's controversial, it has excess of something, be it profanity or nudity. And this one is definitely excessively female sexuality, but in the wrong kind of way.
And Harry Styles.
But like, technically the controversies are supposed to be about what's shown in the film, but I think in this case, it could be a cult classic because the controversy is everything that happened outside of the film. You could make a documentary movie about the making of Don't Worry, Darling.
And I would watch every millisecond. I would eat that shit up. I would eat it up like it's a bowl of cereal.
Yeah. I don't think there is one person in this entire the cast that does not have like a part of the controversy, except for maybe Nick Kroll.
No, which is surprising because there's a lot of other things that you could make a controversy about Nick Kroll, about how his dad is a billionaire, but no, that's not the case.
That dude, innocent in all of this.
He was just merely a bystander. I don't think okay, so we're gonna get the elephant out of the room in this very first episode, in the very first minutes of this podcast. I need our audience to understand that I love Nick Kroll to such a deep, irrational level, and I am not okay. And his involvement in all of this drama is part of the reason that I'm in love with him. And this movie is like the inciting incident of the reason that I'm in love with Nick Kroll, which seems weird because this movie is not his best look.
No.
By any means.
No. It's not any of their best looks.
No.
Like, I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, oh, is that the Midsummer girl?
Yeah.
And it was. And then I learned that that's exactly why she got cast into that role, because of her role in Midsummer. Midsummer, which is a way better cult movie. You want to go watch a good cult movie, go watch Midsummer. It's Florence Pugh at her best.
Yeah. Like, I am personally under the belief that Nick Kroll is his hottest. His hottest look is...
It's in Sing, right?
His hottest look is his... This is so specific. His Vogue magazine lie detector test.
Yeah.
In, like, full beard floral shirt. He's so hot. He's serving.
I feel like Sing is a contender, though.
I forget about Sing every single time until it is brought up.
You missed it the first time when I was like, sing, and you just glossed over it. I was like, I don't think Emily heard me.
I definitely didn't.
He sings Taylor Swift. It's great.
I know. But, like, in Don't Worry, Darling, he is, like...
A criminal?
A criminal. A human trafficker. And also, like, fully shaven. Hair, like, slicked back, not at its curliest at all.
He would
like,
not have done well in the 50s.
No,
Just
I don't
aesthetically.
think so. He looks so good.
This is not the Nick Kroll episode.
I want it to be.
Stay on target!
Okay.
Don't worry, here's the thing. When we get popular enough...
Don't worry, darling.
When we get popular enough for a Patreon, we'll have an exclusive 30-minute Nick Kroll segment for you.
Every here's an idea for her Patreon. We may cut this out of the episode, we may not. But every month, $2 or $5 or whoever gets a monthly episode of me just like gushing over a new celebrity crush. For 30 minutes. I think I can only think of one thing when I think of that, and it is profit. That is the only thing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this film is controversial. Not because of its subject matter, but because of the insane story of how this film was made.
Yeah, so Don't Worry, Darling premiered... Do I have a premiere date on here? In September of 2022. September 5th of 2022 was the Venice premiere, which we will get into. That is a whole saga. But it was released in the United States on September 23rd.
Yeah.
So the drama kind of starts, the drama that we know of starts 2 years prior. This is a little bit adjacent to it, but still kind of important. Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis filed for divorce in November of 2020. And that is only important solely because of the fact that press about their divorce they claimed that it was fairly amicable, they claimed that it was fairly neutral. But in April of 2021, Olivia Wilde was served custody papers on stage at CinemaCon promoting Don't Worry, Darling. And so everybody was like, while she was speaking, so everybody was like, oh my god, what is this? Like, what, blah, 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 blah. When Jason Sudeikis was asked about it, he claimed that was at the fault of the company for interrupting that event.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
I feel, this is my conspiracy theory, that the people who have to serve divorce papers, I feel like they look into your socials and find the most inopportune time.
They want to create drama. They want to create tea.
Yeah. Do you, here's a question, do you believe him? Or do you have no reason not to believe him?
I mean, I don't think that Jason Sudeikis had any control of, like, yeah, she's gonna be at this thing, so you should deliver it to her there. But, like, also, I don't know how much I trust Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to believe that Jason Sudeikis is a good person and wouldn't do that, but also, who is to say?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, these past 2 weeks have just been divorces and resignations. Hollywood stars, the past 2 weeks have not been good to Hollywood stars. Just bad stuff after bad stuff.
Right. For frame of reference of when we're recording this, we're like a week out from like the Russell Brand documentary coming out. And
then we have like Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner and Ashton Kutcher and whatever the nonsense he is.
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis backing up, I forget his name, but Hyde from That 70s Show. Some
guy who did bad things.
Yeah, so...
That's when that came out, you know that moment in Star Wars where Obi-Wan is, how could you? You were the chosen! That's how I feel about Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Hollywood is too dramatic. Them peoples need to go outside.
Hollywood do be a mess.
Yeah.
But especially now.
Olivia Wilde gets these divorce papers at this premiere.
Yes. Or like this press. Oh, I kind of have this out of order. But prior to her getting served these custody papers, she is spotted with Harry Styles at a wedding together in January of 2021. Around this spotting is when they announced that Harry was going to be the lead in Don't Worry, Darling.
Which is another controversy in and of itself.
Right. Also, like around the same time, this is obviously like they announced that Florence Pugh was going to be his co-star.
Another weird controversy. Question, they were spotted together at this wedding.
Mm-hmm.
They're not dating, correct? Or are they?
They were.
They were.
They were dating. They split up like around.
It wasn't very long.
It was, when did Olivia Wilde? Let's look at J14 magazine, because that's a good source. November of 2020, or wait. November of 2022 is when they split.
Okay.
So, a little bit after the premiere of Don't Worry, Darling.
Not surprised. If I were Harry Styles and Don't Worry, Darling happened, I would also break up with...
Yeah. After they announced the two stars, it is very apparent to the internet that Florence Pugh is not making promo of this movie, which is extremely uncharacteristic for her.
I only knew that she was in Oppenheimer when I saw all of the promotional pieces.
Mm-hmm. She's very active on Instagram, especially like promoting her projects. And we saw that even after Don't Worry, Darling, like she started doing a lot more of that. She was like, what was she most recently? I think A Good Person with Morgan Freeman, which I still need to see that movie. Puss in Boots and The Last Wish. Like, she's very active of promoting those movies and those projects, thanking the crew and like definitely like making nods to the cast, but she was not doing that with Don't Worry, Darling.
She was notably absent.
She did make one Instagram post like giving a shout out to the crew and like thanking them for all of their hard work, but no nods to anybody else in the cast, and not even to Olivia.
Yeah.
She said in an interview that she didn't really appreciate how the movie was being promoted, and kind of, as you were alluding to, being about how sexual the promotion of this movie was. Like, it seemed like sex was kind of the driving force in this. And I do definitely remember that. Like, teasers and, like, the, like, very first trailers of this movie, it was ingrained in my brain.
This movie was about sex.
Yeah. They actively use the scene of Harry Styles and Florence Pugh on the dinner table a lot. Like, and that was, like, the main thing. Then when I first, like, oh my god, like, Harry Styles is eating and that's what a lot of people were talking about.
Then you watch the movie.
And then you're like...
Did Olivia Wilde watch it?
So... it is funny that you say that.
Are we sure that she watched this movie?
So, in a Harper Bazaar interview, Olivia went on to say, kind of proudly, she said, only women in this movie.
I don't think Olivia watched this movie. I think she just saw the promotional trailers and that was it.
Yeah. After kind of the buzz about this, Olivia actually went and posted an Instagram post about how much of a privilege and an honor it was to be working with an actress like Florence Pugh. And this is our first reference to the nickname Flo, or Miss Flo. It is in this Instagram caption. She says Flo instead of Florence. And we'll get into the whole Flo, Miss Flo thing a little bit later.
Oh, Jesus. There's a whole thing about that?
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know how, like, a Wikipedia article, they have, like, underlined things, and then you can click into them? I feel like that's what this controversy is that you hit one thing, Miss Flo, underlined.
Yeah.
Harry Styles, underlined.
Yeah.
Nick Kroll, not underlined, not relevant, he was fine.
Yeah. He was an innocent bystander in all of this. This kind of goes into the whole thing with Shia LaBeouf. It is found out somehow that Shia LaBeouf was supposed to lead this movie. and this is kind of, obviously my timeline is not the best. It is known to the public that Shia LaBeouf
Yeah.
is supposed to be the lead in this movie. And Olivia claims that she fired Shia for, like, differing opinions, or I remember a lot, like, I remember when all of this was kind of coming out that part of it was, like, about, I don't know if there were, I don't remember if it was, like, domestic abuse claims about Shia LaBeouf or something like that.
Yeah.
She blamed it on that. But then Shia LaBeouf claimed that he was not fired. He quit on his own accord.
Yeah.
And he leaked a text message to prove this. And the text message is a video from Olivia talking about coming together. But Olivia specifically says this might be, and I want to make sure I have the quote right, but this might be a wake-up call for Miss Flo to commit more, essentially. So that is a second reference to the Miss Flo thing.
God.
A little bit before this movie came out as well, kind of not related to the Shia LaBeouf stuff, but a completely separate incident, is Kiki Lane, who plays Margaret in the movie, and Ariel Stachel. I don't know how to pronounce this man's name. I've never heard this man's name spoken out loud.
He's
discussing.
He's the husband, right?
Yeah,
Margaret's
he plays Ted.
Gotcha.
Discussing basically in, like, an Instagram post, like, it's such a shame that we got cut out of this movie.
Yeah, because, like, Margaret is such an integral character to the plot for someone who is barely there.
Yes. And I remember, and that Instagram post kind of came out, like, as the movie was coming out. So, like, people would watch the movie, and I remember there being a lot of discourse about it, rightfully so, about how we cut the only two people of color basically out of this movie.
Yeah.
Which is very valid. Like, I have a lot of feelings about that in itself.
And there is something to say, you know, we shouldn't, when it comes to, like, people of color and representation and all of that stuff, I'm not saying that people should be coddled just because they have different colored skin, but it is, I feel like, you know, it says something that in Don't Worry Darling, like, the character who kind of who exists only to suffer is the only black woman in the movie. Like, okay, like Alice goes through a lot. All of these women, they all go through a lot. But Margaret is borderline tortured.
Yes.
Like, it's just awful. And it's like, you could have cast Peg as a black woman.
Yeah.
And it would have been fine.
Or Violet, too.
Yeah, you could have just,
Bunny could have been a black woman.
And then Margaret, being as tormented as she was, would have worked. You just needed a couple of other people of color in it so it doesn't look like you're just torturing a poor innocent black woman.
Yeah, you're torturing her, you're ostracizing her, you're gaslighting her. Like...
Yeah. and I don't know if that's a Olivia Wilde problem or a Hollywood problem.
Yeah. Yep. So that's all the stuff that kind of came out before the movie. So this premiere was destined to be kind of a mess, and, like, a lot of people, like, rightfully so, would be asking about it in, like, press releases and stuff, and nothing really, like...
Yeah. I have a question, because we don't know all of the stuff with Kiki's character that got cut out. Do you think that the reason why this movie suffers from ignoring the inciting incident, which is the plane crash, that, like, that part doesn't make sense because they cut out all of Kiki's stuff? Because, like, they make a very point that the plane is the plane that the boy is carrying, and so I think that part of the plot was all wrapped up in Kiki's character, and that's why we're like, what happened to the plane? And maybe even, like, the shaking also, like...
Yeah, that could be it. I'm not entirely sure, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's my conspiracy theory, that maybe if they hadn't have cut out Kiki's stuff, that we might have seen more of the plot. And here's the thing, I've seen this movie like 6 times now.
Specifically in preparation for this.
Oh my god, the amount of times I've watched that dinner scene. You can cut out half of Jack dancing.
Yeah.
In that one ballroom scene, you can cut out. There's so many places where you could cut out in order for the plot to make sense. So
Yeah.
like I on one hand I understand Olivia having to cut stuff. On the other hand,
She cut the wrong
you
stuff.
cut the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
It only embedded you into more controversy.
Right.
We should technically be calling her Wild.
Honestly, at this point,
she's earned Olivia.
I should be calling all these celebrities by their last names, but I'm not going to because I feel like I've been so attached to this for so long. These are people that I know personally.
These are my friends.
Parasocial relationship who?
Yeah, so this premiere was doomed to be a gosh darn disaster.
Yes. And just because it doesn't really follow like the structure that I have this after the premiere.
Yeah.
There were other texts between Shia LaBeouf and Florence Pugh that got leaked.
Yeah.
But those texts basically say that Shia LaBeouf was quitting the project.
Okay.
And I think he wanted to show that, like, things were still amicable between him and Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
But not necessarily between him and Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's just a little bit of that to kind of wrap up that whole saga.
Yeah, and I assume you have links to these the screenshots. We'll make sure to put that in the description so that you guys can look at them for yourself and make whatever judgments you want to.
All of the articles. So we get to Venice. And Venice is where...
Venice, which is one of the premieres.
Yes, Venice Film Festival, specifically. And this is where everything goes into chaos.
Buckle in, everyone!
So, okay. I think this is true of most film festivals. This is like, the structure is that there was a lot of press that happened.
Yeah.
Before the movie premiered, there was a carpet, and then the movie premiered.
Yeah.
All of the press before the premiere, Florence is not at.
Yeah, okay, so she's absent, which again is a weird thing for Florence.
Right. And also weird because she is
the star
of this movie. And so somebody asks Olivia specifically, like, where is Florence? And she basically says, like, Florence can't make it due to scheduling conflicts, like, we are really missing her right now, like, whatever.
Yeah, which is a weird thing to say, because this is Florence's full-time job.
Right. Lo and behold, Florence does not give two shits. I love her for this. She posts on her Instagram story that she's just, drinking cocktails by the pool in Venice in the most... And now is one of the most iconic purple matching sets I've ever seen. This matching set is so... Oh, it's so good. It's like a royal purple. It's just like really like nice like mid-length or like mid-thigh shorts.
Yeah.
She's living her best life. Not
at this premiere.
No. The whole time they are doing press, Chris Pine looks like he wants to die.
Yeah.
There are a couple of like gifs of Chris Pine sitting with like the headphones that like translate into different languages, like just on his head, and he like his eyes like roll into the back of his head multiple times throughout this whole like all of the different interviews that they're going through.
Because it's just Olivia Wilde being like, this is a woman's movie, feminism, and you're like, but
it's not.
No.
So, and then also there's a moment in one of the journalists asking where Florence is, and Olivia giving her explanation. And this is speculation. I 100% think that this is speculation. It is. That is a fact. But like, as she's saying this, Harry Styles' mic catches a little bit of him just laughing like a maniac.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's laughing at her explanation. Like,
Yeah.
And I just think that's funny. I think that's hilarious. That's very Harry.
Yeah. And Harry hasn't come out. No one's asked him.
Speaking of Harry, there is a interview where it is only Harry Styles and Chris Pine. And Chris Pine, of course, looks like he wants to die.
Yes.
But Harry Styles says this very iconic line of like, it just really feels like a movie in reference to the movie. So that is that is ingrained. I'm kind of convinced that Harry Styles got high before
Yeah.
this premiere. There's no way that he didn't.
Yeah, because it's not like when Ryan Gosling was doing Barbie movie press, he sounded like a madman.
Yeah.
But it was
because he committed to the bit.
Yeah, he committed a little bit too much to Ken, so nothing he said really made sense.
Yeah.
But like, everyone in the Barbie movie was having a great time. Nobody when we watched the Barbie movie, I said that Don't Worry Darling is the psychological horror companion to the Barbie movie.
Yeah. An iconic moment where Harry Styles like kind of admits that he has like no clue what he's doing. He has no clue. So that's part of it. Then leading up to this premiere, just so that I can keep mentioning Nick Kroll, there are a couple of like chaotic TikToks of Nick Kroll and oh gosh, this should have been part of my notes. Nick Kroll and Sydney Chandler, who plays Violet, in their limos going to the premiere. And it's just people, it's just them riding in this limo. And then people like trying to like peer into the window thinking that it's Harry or Florence. And it's just Nick being like, not who you want, guys. I'm not Harry, sorry. It is one of my favorite TikToks of all time. It is, because it's just, it's so innocent.
Yeah.
After everything that has happened and everything that is to come.
Yeah.
And also, let us just take a moment to kind of mention too that Gemma Chan, also an innocent bystander in this.
Yeah.
Gemma Chan did nothing wrong.
Look, in my notes, I literally have it written that Gemma Chan doesn't have a character. Like, her character was written specifically so that she kills Frank at the end, and she has no other purpose in the story, and that's why she's, like, doesn't make sense. It's because Olivia Wilde didn't know what to do with Frank at the end. She was like, oh, this is a woman's movie. The woman is going to kill her.
Yeah. Ugh.
Okay.
Also, not the only other woman of color turning into the villain.
Right? Okay. So the way that Olivia talked about this movie, and this is, I don't want to compliment Olivia because again, she is so detached. Like Tommy Wiseau levels of detached from the content of her media. But the thing is that like this is not the first time where something weird has been done and then the creator goes out and says, no, that's all intentional. Because I don't know how much you know about the video gaming world, but when Silent 2 came out, Silent Hill 2, something that is notable about that game is the weird fog, this is a PS1, PS2 game, I can't remember which one. So like the fog is actually used to like for rendering issues because it's old tech. But the other weird thing about Silent Hill 2 is the line reads. And so people were asking, I think it's Konami.
Yeah.
Konami or Kojima. I get them all mixed up. I'm sorry, I'm a fake gamer girl. And they're like, was that intentional? Or were these just bad line reads? And he went, no, it's all intentional. But here's the thing, Silent Hill 2 worked as a game. So, like, he's a madman genius. So, like, Olivia, she could have gotten away with her being like, no, it's all intentional. It was all part of the grand plan. This is what I mean. If Don't Worry Darling was actually good. It was like this weird comparison where I was like, this is Silent Hill 2 energy, but in the wrong direction. She's on the right road in the wrong direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
I just wanted to say that. I think it's Konami. My final answer is Konami.
So then we get to like the actual premiere of this movie.
And where is this? Hollywood?
No, this is still Venice.
Okay,
this is all still Venice.
We're stuck in Venice.
We're still in Venice. So the actual premiere happens, and Florence makes her first appearance.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous. She's so iconic in this moment. She really stepped out of that limousine in like, and I like hate to be that Swiftie, but this was like Reputation era Florence.
Gotcha.
Like, girly was ready.
Yeah.
It is very apparent that Florence, Olivia, and Harry are not talking to each other.
Yeah.
They are not seen interacting at any point. All of the group photos, they are standing at least one person apart.
Yeah.
And it's weird because at this time, Harry and Olivia are still in a public relationship.
Yeah.
So everybody on Twitter is like, why are they not standing next to each other?
But also, Florence Pugh and Harry Styles are the stars. So you would think that they should be next to each other.
Yes. I have a note in here that just says Florence, Gemma, Nick, and Chris, and then dash, and then gang. Because they were all, like, they were being, like, friendly with each other. There's a very iconic video of Florence posing for paparazzi, but then, like, underneath the paparazzi, it's, like, Nick Kroll and Chris Pine with their phones out. Like, it's a very cute moment.
Yeah.
Like, the four of them are all, like, kikiing. We're all just chilling, we're all vibing.
We're buddies.
After this night ends, only really in this event relates mostly just to Florence. Florence's makeup artist, and I think her stylist as well, posted a picture on their Instagram of t-shirts that say Miss Flo on them. On like, just like on one of the, yeah.
You can't see my horrified face, but it's horrified.
So yeah, like Florence's team had like Miss Flo t-shirts, which is so iconic. That's such a slay.
Oh my god.
But then also her stylist liking a tweet basically bashing Olivia.
Ooh.
So there's a little bit of tea there, but like again, I feel like that's mostly speculation at this point.
Yeah.
Because we're never really gonna know. We're never really gonna know, like, what was, like, Florence is never gonna say her piece on it.
Yeah.
I doubt Olivia is going to, because she's just gonna keep digging herself this hole that's already 6 feet under.
Yeah. I think that's interesting that, like, so the genre that Don't Worry Darling is, and we'll get later into this into another podcast episode, is called ergodic literature, which is just, you can't, it's just writing or movies or things that you can't watch casually because the analyzing of it is the entertainment itself.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that there is this sort of ergodic atmosphere around the controversy of the movie getting made where we're like, we don't know, and they're never going to give us answers. We can just make theories and draw from, oh, these two are not standing next to each other. It's like, this is how you examine, this discussion we're having right now is how you examine ergodic literature, and it's so funny that Olivia was way more successful in ergodic literature and the controversies around the movie than the movie itself.
Right.
Jesus Christ. House of Leaves walked so Olivia Wilde could f***ing run.
we get to the actual, like, viewing of this movie.
Yeah.
And this is where Twitter, if not already having its heyday, really just, like, has its heyday.
Yeah, the whole Twitter storm.
So Harry Styles and Chris Pine are sitting next to each other. Chris Pine's already sitting. I think you know where I'm going with this. Harry Styles is going to sit down, and it looks like he, like, from this video angle, looks like he spits on Chris Pine. Chris Pine just already accepting it as Harry sits down. I went nuts. I went crazy. I was at work when this happened.
They confirmed that wasn't the case, though, right?
Yes. So, I mean, the memes were to be had.
It's just the fact that all of these things are happening, creating this perfect storm. Like I said, the making of it is so ergodic that it's interesting.
Yes. So it looks like, and I'm reading this from a People magazine article, but there is an interview with Esquire on March 1st of 2023, months after this whole thing.
Yeah.
Chris Pine says, it does indeed look like Harry spitting on me, but he didn't. He did not spit on me. Chris Pine, this is from Chris Pine's mouth, he leaned down and I think he said, "It's just words, isn't it?" Because we had this little joke. We were all jet lagged. We were all trying to answer these questions. And sometimes when you're doing these press things, your brain gets befuddled and you start speaking gibberish. So I'm wondering if that's in reference to.
It's almost like a movie.
It feels like a movie. And we had a joke, "It's just words, man." Which, I don't know.
I believe that.
I could believe that for sure.
Like, I wonder if Harry Styles was originally trying to say it's almost like a game because of how. Because, like, the first 75% of Don't Worry, Darling, you're like. It's almost like a point and click where you're looking for clues and you're trying to figure it out for yourself. So I'm wondering if that's where he went, but his brain just totally skipped a beat and went, it's like a movie.
Yeah. And I do understand that point of view too. Like, obviously I'm not a celebrity. I've never had to do a press tour before.
Yeah.
But like Harry Styles literally like this was while he was doing his series of concerts at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Man's literally like did a show, got on a plane, went to Venice, did this whole thing, got back on a plane, and went straight back to New York to do another show that following night.
Yeah, like insane turnaround.
Yeah, like crazy. Like I don't think this man slept.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that his interviews are questionable. I mean, like when you picked me up for my friend's wedding, we had to stay up because my boyfriend's flight left so early, and I like called you by the bride's name, and I was like, it's just because I've been around the bride all week.
I am still not convinced that us going to the airport was not just an elaborate dream. So for context, Erin was in a wedding and her boyfriend was flying in, and he had to fly out, to get home.
But his flight left at like 5 a.m. on a Sunday, and so Emily drove. Emily woke up at 2 a.m., drove to come get us, drove us to the airport, and then we drove back. And then we both went to sleep and woke up, and it was still Sunday.
Yeah, so I lived this like whole life, that also my roommate does not even know about. Because, like, I just kind of, like, left quietly, and then I came back quietly, and I have not mentioned it.
But it was, like, during that where I was, like, so tired, I just called you by the bride's name, and I was like, that's not your name, Emily.
Yeah. And I couldn't imagine doing that when after doing, like, this whole press thing.
Doing performances.
Yeah, like, a premiere, and then, like, performing, like, a 2-hour concert. So, like, I definitely feel for Harry in this moment. And I feel for Harry all the time, because I love Harry Styles so much.
Again, if you want to hear her rant about it.
I love Harry Styles. So, yeah, so there's all of that. Also, at the following Love on Tour performance, Harry Styles did make a reference to it on stage.
Yeah.
He was like, "Just came back from Venice where I spit on Chris Pine," and the crowd ate it up.
Yeah.
Ate it up.
So
like
it seems like Harry and Chris Pine have an amicable relationship. It seems like the only people who have bad relationships are all related to Florence, sorry, all related to Olivia Wilde.
Yes.
I think nobody left as Olivia Wilde's friend.
At this point, we reach the end of the movie, and there is a standing ovation for this movie. And I did not know this, but I went in my research, I found out that the length of a standing ovation at film festivals like this is indicative of how well the movie is perceived.
Yeah.
So, like, I think in my research, like, the longest standing ovation was, like, the Banshee of Inisherin or something like that. I definitely said that wrong. eight. It's like 18 minutes of like a
Oh
standing
wow,
ovation.
okay.
So so Don't Worry Darling received a 4-minute long standing ovation, which means that the movie was received fairly well
Yeah, okay.
at this premiere. But in that, I mean, obviously the cast is standing there, not I think they were clapping, but like obviously being the center of attention. There is a moment where, again, speculation, where it looks like Florence Pugh leans over to Nick Kroll and is like, "Does this mean we can leave now?" It looks like she's saying that to him.
And nobody's interviewed Florence Pugh asking about that?
I don't think it's been.
Okay. So
It was out of all of the things that happened at this premiere, I think that was like the least talked about thing.
Okay, yeah.
But then in the process of them actually leaving, um Harry or Nick Kroll kind of steps out in front of everybody leaving, crosses I think Sydney,
Yeah.
to get to Harry, and just they both plant this big kiss on each other. Harry and Nick Kroll.
Gotcha.
The moment that changed my life forever. I remember that specific moment and videos of that moment replaying in my head far too much.
Yeah.
Far too much. Because I don't even know why, honestly. Because I was a really big fan of Harry. I was not really interested in Nick Kroll. At this point of all of this drama, I'm still questioning, why is Nick Kroll in this movie?
Yeah.
And I still question that.
And like it's also interesting that like it's Harry kissing Nick Kroll and not Harry kissing his girlfriend Olivia Wilde.
Right. Yes. So there's all of that, and like obviously, like nobody in like the general public has seen this movie yet.
Yeah.
So we don't know that them kissing is a reference to the beginning of the movie.
Right.
At all.
And the public still thinks that this is a movie about sex.
Right. And so like when you sit down and watch this movie with all of this drama in mind, and you see them kiss in like the first like 5 minutes of this movie, then you're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, we're finally caught up.
But like out of context, it makes no sense.
No, you're just like, ooh. So I was like, shouldn't you be kissing your wife, sir?
Yeah. That's most of it.
Yeah.
A lot of it after that is just like mitigating all of these rumors.
Yeah. And like, it's also worth to note that Florence Pugh is not the original actress to play Alice. Olivia Wilde was going to star herself.
Yeah, that's something that I missed.
And then she saw Florence Pugh's performance in Midsommar, which, by the way, if you want to watch a better cult movie, go watch Midsommar. That one's pretty good. She saw Florence Pugh in Midsommar and was like, that's who I want. Because Florence Pugh, I've said this many times, she is very good at playing the tortured, victimized woman. She's great at it. To the point where she's now getting typecast into it. Because that's how she got the role of Alice. That's probably how she got the role of the communist girl in Oppenheimer. You know, she's it's just who she plays, and sometimes I'm like, leave Florence Pugh alone.
Leave her alone.
Stop tormenting her. Either that or let her play a villain. I would love to see Florence Pugh as a villain.
Yes.
Olivia Wilde then took the role of Bunny.
Which, as much as I don't like Olivia Wilde, especially after all of this drama has happened, I'm not a fan of hers. Let us be perfectly clear.
Yeah, neither am I.
She's so hot as Bunny.
Yeah.
She's so beautiful.
We're gonna go garden. We're gonna go look at plants and drink.
I want to look at plants and drink with Bunny. Bunny is one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Yeah, she did great as Bunny. But
I love Bunny.
But it's just this thing in Hollywood that happens, which I understand why it happens, but it always gives me, is ick the right term? An ick? Yeah. I don't like it when directors and producers star in their own show or their own movie. because then it feels like a vanity project.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't love the fact that Lin-Manuel Miranda starred as Hamilton. I didn't love that, even though Reese Reese Witherspoon did great as Mrs. Richardson in Little Fires Everywhere, which most people know Reese Witherspoon as Elle Woods, the feminist extraordinaire, but having Reese Witherspoon play a blatant racist villain in Little Fires Everywhere, it was a great choice, but like it still feels awkward because she's also the executive producer and the director. And also, I found out that for like Reese Witherspoon's book club, part of her like thing about getting into her book club is that she gets first pick of the rights of your book to make them into a movie. And like I trust Reese Witherspoon, right? But again, it feels weird that she's like starring in some of these things. And you know, Tommy Wiseau is sort of the iconic man of producing his own film and starring in it and it kind of going horrendously wrong.
Yeah.
I love a good cameo. I'm okay with a cameo. Yeah. John Green was supposed to have a cameo in, I think it's The Fault in Our Stars, but he was so bad at delivering his lines that they cut that cameo out. Yeah. But like, you know, because, you know, let's pretend that John Green was like, no, I want a role, and then he played like the author dude that William Dafoe plays in Little Fires Everywhere. Little Fires Everywhere. The Fault in Our Stars. I don't think it would have been as good. I think John Green was like, yeah, I'll do my one cameo, but it was so funny that he got cut out anyways.
Oh.
I don't mind cameos. It's just, when I go into a film and the director or the producer is starring in it, I'm like, this is not going to be as good as I think it is. What's the other film that sort of does that? It's about the guy breaks his arm. It's a musical. Dear Evan Hansen. But it's not. It's that his dad is the producer. Yeah. Dear Evan Hansen's dad is the producer. Ben Platt.
Ben Platt. Yeah.
Ben Platt's dad.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a vanity project.
Which this might be a tangent. Okay. Yeah. I fully reserve this to be a tangent, but I need Ben Platt and the rest of the world to let go of Ben Platt being Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
And get on the train of Ben Platt playing Leo Frank in the revival of Parade. Yeah. Because that is significantly significantly a much better sample of what Ben Platt can do.
Yeah.
And I might be biased because I love the revival of Parade. I went to New York specifically to see the revival of Parade.
No,
But it is so, his work in Parade is so much better than Dear Evan Hansen could ever be.
Yeah, especially the movie.
Regardless of the movie.
It's almost like if you're not having an actor star in a vanity project, they can actually do good. Because Ben Platt, he's also in the Pitch Perfect movies, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's great in those.
He's great in those movies.
It was so weird because I had only known him from Pitch Perfect at the time, and then suddenly all of this Dear Evan Hansen stuff came out, and I was like, what the. What?
And also,
it's just that Dear Evan Hansen is not a good
right. And I also have a friend who is the biggest Ben Platt fan I have ever known.
Yeah.
He makes his own music, and his original music is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's just so many other things that are better landmark projects for Ben Platt than Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah. Bottom line is, don't do vanity projects. When has a vanity project ever gone right? Because, I don't even like I don't like the movie adaptation of Little Fires Everywhere. And, and it's not because they decided to make the main characters black, because most people who hate it are like, oh, they made the main characters black, and that's bad. And it's just, it's that annoying thing of when you adapt a movie, and you make very small changes that, alter the thematic. The book itself is so thematically tight that if you change one small detail, you ruin the ending. And they do. They change this very small detail, which is the premise is that the mom and the daughter are moving into this white suburbia, and they don't quite fit in. And in the book, mom is like, we're staying here. We're no longer going to be transient. We're going to be here and we're going to stay here and no more moving. But in the adaptation, she's like, well, I don't actually know if we're going to stay. This could be temporary. And I'm like, no, you're going to ruin the ending. Mm-hmm. Like, the ending is so gut-wrenchingly, horrifyingly sad because she promises the daughter at the beginning that they're not moving. And so I didn't even finish Little Fires Everywhere because I was like, the ending is going to be ruined. Yeah. And I don't want to watch this book that I loved get ruined. Like, I have yet to see a vanity project be or projects like this be successful. Right. They're all bad.
Yeah. I mean, again, just more reasons for me to drop Nick Kroll's name, but like technically, and they make a joke about it, but like, Oh Hello on Broadway is classified as a vanity project because it's Nick Kroll and John Mulaney's bit from Nick Kroll's Comedy Central show that they just like decided to put on Broadway.
Yeah.
But it is so funny.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love Nick Kroll for like no reason.
Is there any other drama? Did we cover it all?
That's pretty much all of the drama. It ended with a kiss. Harry and Nick.
Kissing.
Kissing.
It started with a kiss. It ended with a kiss. Everyone is kissing except for people who are dating. They're not kissing.
It started out with a kiss. How did it end up like this?
It was only a kiss. It was only a kiss. And it wasn't my girlfriend. It was Nick Kroll.
I wish my drama ended like that. With a kiss from Nick Kroll. Nick, if you are by some grace of God listening, I'd like to put in my candidacy for it to be your second wife. I don't want to replace Lily. She's gorgeous.
Could you just be a polygamist?
For me? Oh my god.
So that is all of the drama.
Mm-hmm.
And we started with the drama because as we go into discussing this film, a lot of times I'm like, I don't know if Olivia Wilde did this on purpose. Some of the most clever things that is done in this film, I doubt the authenticity of authorial intention because of how she's like, this film is about sex. And it's like...
Yeah.
But like, girl. So
yeah, we probably should put a little bit of a spoiler warning in this episode.
Yeah.
Just because we do mention like some of the outcomes.
I have spoilers.
At the end of the episode. But like definitely like spoiler warning for the episodes to come.
Yeah.
Because we're just gonna be talking up, down,
left, right,
like diagonally about this movie.
Yeah, here's the thing, and we're not gonna be going in any particular order, and you don't have to watch the movie to listen to this podcast, because if you do, it still won't make sense.
Yeah. I have at least 4 pages of notes, specifically just about this movie.
I think I have...
I mean, one of them was just about the drama, but, like, that still means I have 3 pages of notes.
Yeah.
About this movie.
I'm pretty sure I have over, 10,000 words worth of things to say. Because, bro, this movie is an interesting enigma, and we are going to get it into the next episode. I am your host, Erin, and my co-host, Emily.
Yeah.
This has been the first episode of the Feminine Byte, and hopefully we will have many, many more to come.
Stay tuned, folks. Strap in. Buckle up.
Stay tuned for all the questions that you never wanted answered.